this is Ryan. What's up?
And a little bit of a small house today. That's okay. We got games to play. Somewhere, Travis Cooper, it is his birthday. I'm sure he is. If he is not getting drunk, he is drunk already. It's probably one of the two. So we gave him carte blanche on our last episode to call the game we would play today. And if he shows up, then maybe we get that next episode. If he doesn't show up, we'll let him pick something down the road. Today, we have a kind of a small little game we're going to try out today called Boss Monster. A very simple card game, very 8-bit aesthetic, made by the folks at Brotherwise Games. You've probably seen it in the store because the box looks like an old school 8-bit Nintendo box. But it's a pretty cool little dungeon-themed game. We'll get to that a little bit later on. In the meantime, let's do a little talking, a little banter. Let's see what everybody's been up to, because Ryan was showing me some minis earlier. He's got a game we're going to be talking about down the road somewhere.
Yeah, I picked up the AVP. That's Aliens vs. Predator: The Hunt Begins. I think this is a game that a lot of the maybe horror sci-fi fans have been really looking forward to. There was at one time when the hype of the Alien films and the hype of the Predator films, they put out the white cast metal figurines, which were kind of hard to find after a while. But I think this is a very good setup game. It's basically one player can play, 3 players can play, or a ton of players can play.
Oh, so it can actually be.
You can
play solo.
You can play it solo.
Huh. Okay.
And it's kind of weird in the way that the rules, and I don't want to really get into that today. I want to get into that when we get ready to do it. But
sure.
We were talking earlier. I think you had mentioned you had read something or had listened to someone kind of have a little issue with some of the figurines. Right. I brought mine in to get a pointer or two on some of the painting. Most people who have played War Machine and Hordes may have experienced a good bit of this when you bought your Colossals and you bought your Gargantuans. The resin, sometimes there's holes that you have to fill, and it's a really soft plastic. Okay, and I understand what the guy was saying. He wasn't really crazy about that. But in this game, your figurines do use that style of plastic.
Now, to let everybody know what Ryan is speaking of, the review that I saw, not that they need us to plug them by any stretch of the imagination, but I listen and watch the Dice Tower a great deal, and one of the inspirations for our switch over to being a more general tabletop podcast. But the Dice Tower does a wonderful show on YouTube that if you haven't watched it already, I suggest you do. It's called Board Game Breakfast, and one of their contributors is a guy named Bob Boren, and he was not overly enthused, I think, with the quality of the plastic used for the minis, and I could see that when he held his up to the camera, but now I'm not seeing the same problem with the ones you showed me.
No, see, my stuff was already put together. My stuff was already painted. It's based. That's the reason why I brought him in to get an insight, maybe a little bit, maybe what I could do. Like all models, you want to get it as close as you can to what you've got. And as I was telling you before, I used the Alien Anthology on DVD to make sure that I got as close as I could get. I mean, aliens are cut and dry. They're basically black with a little sheen on them. So, you got a little, use a little silver, maybe a little, whatever light metallic, grayish you want to use. And then you go back over it with a nice wash.
Right.
With the Marines, however, there is a distinction. When you get into actually looking at their helmets and their battle garb, I mean, they've got a really thin camo on pretty much everything. The only thing that's really solid is really just their shirt. The helmet's camoed. Their vest packs are camoed. Their shin guards and boot guards are camoed. Their pants are camoed. So, what I've got in is I just basically took the best base color to do that. It's just, I think it's up to everyone on how they feel when they play a miniature game, what they really like. If they like the hard metal, hey, great. If you like the soft plastics, hey, great. It's just how you've had experience with it and what you want to deal with it. My only complaint about any game company right now, like Malifaux, when I played it for a little bit, was you had 17,000 pieces for one figurine. There's a little bit of annoyance with that. And that's not to be, a pain in the butt about it, but I mean, when you're sitting there trying to put 3 arms and configure those with all these other little doodads that goes on the figurine, that gets a little old.
Yeah.
This is pretty well cut and dry. Like an alien, the alien warrior, stick the tail in the back, slop, put the head on top, and you're good to go with that. With a Marine, it's usually the 2 arms and maybe a head. It's pretty well cut and dry.
Okay. And you liken it to somewhere between being a board game and a minis game, essentially.
It is. I think, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but what is it? I think over the past maybe year, maybe year and a half, I think more board game companies are kind of going that route.
Well, and you got companies like Cool Mini or Not that certainly that's sort of their bread and butter. But
what about Fantasy Flight?
Well, yeah, because if you look at something like Imperial Assault
or Descent, the second edition,
Descent, something of that nature. No, I would give Descent's been around forever, though. You can't really say that's a new animal. That's a new addition, but I wouldn't say that's something.
Because I've got those up to par. I've got those pretty much up to everything they've got except for the stuff that's coming out now. That's like with Imperial Assault. I've got everything but the Hoth expansion.
Okay.
So I mean, you talk about figurines that are gorgeous. They're detailed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they are.
Well, Fantasy Flight does an awesome job, and one thing that has been going on in the board game world that we are not going to discuss on this podcast. There are plenty of other podcasts that talk about it. We are not going to join them. Is the very vague announcements from Asmodee North America, as it is now called, because that is now the collective name for Asmodee, Fantasy Flight, and Days of Wonder, and now Catan in North America.
Was I not supposed to say that then?
No, you can call them Fantasy, because I still call it Fantasy Flight. Okay. I don't think anyone's going to stop calling it Fantasy Flight. But, that's now one big gaming megacorp, and they're being really, really vague about things. So,
that's a shame because with Fantasy Flight, like I said, you've got that, and then
the CEO of Fantasy Flight's the one in charge of it all now.
Well, maybe Fantasy Flight stuff may not go the way of the cuckoo. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
they're unlikely to kill off any of their properties that they bring to the table that are popular.
Attack Wing and Amada is pretty cool.
Okay, so I just said we were going to talk about it. I'll hit on it very briefly, just to get these two guys. No, and I do mean this very briefly. Realistically, the only changes that we know of at the moment with the massive Asmodee purchasing and mergers with these different companies is, A, they are restricting their number of distributors from ever how many they had down to 5. And the funny thing
that's a pure business decision.
Well, it is, but the funny thing is it's only bad depending on which company you're talking about. It's fewer distributors than Fantasy Flight used to have. It's fewer distributors than Asmodee used to have. It's fewer distributors than, oh Lord, if I wasn't trying to think of their name, it's May something. The people that used to own Catan. Mayfair. It's fewer than I think Mayfair had for the Catan series, but it's more distributors than Days of Wonder used to have. So, and Days of Wonder would be the guys that make, I believe, like Ticket to Ride and things of that nature.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there's like Ticket to Ride, and I think Small World is a Days of Wonder game. I think that's their biggest two. So, it's more distributors than they used to have. But the 5 distributors they're using are the 5 biggest. So, they're not really sacrificing sacrificing coverage really at all. The second thing is that Asmodee has stated that they are going to restrict the online retailers of their products. There will be fewer of them, and online retailers are going to pay a higher price for the product at wholesale now in order to help restrict the discounts. The reason for that, and they've actually shown the numbers for it. Any game company, and like I said, there's been research and numbers crunched on this. They make more money brick and mortar than they do online. It is those of us who are inclined to be online a lot that are going to get slightly upset about it. The bottom line is, though, chances are places like your largest online retailer, so I imagine places like Fun Again Games, Minis Market, Cool Stuff Inc.
Yeah, but what about the big boys that do a lot of shipping? I mean, we're talking about Amazon here. I mean, are they going to be like?
But Amazon. No, I don't know. I think you'll still see them on Amazon because any of those companies can sell through Amazon. Cool Stuff sells stuff through Amazon. Minis Market sells stuff through Amazon.
I just would think the way they're kind of stating that, you would think that they would limit the amount of product.
It's not that they're going to limit the amount of product. Is what I'm reading into it. What I'm reading into it is they are going to limit the number of online retailers as a whole.
Basically, they're tightening the avenues so that they can try and keep an aspect of control over discounting and such.
Well, they want the friendly local gaming store to actually have a shot.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to state.
And I'm not against that at all. It's only inconvenient if you live somewhere where you don't have a friendly local gaming store.
Like I do.
Yeah. But even in an instance like that, they're not going to be where you can't buy them online. You're just going to be paying MSRP or close to it. You're not going to be getting as big a discount. And and I'm going to parrot something that I did here on the Dice Tower, but I also thought it while they were having the discussion themselves, and a couple other places I've heard talk about this too. We're living in a day and age where if you buy something online, and God forbid you actually pay the manufacturer's suggested retail price. So it's, and the reality of that is if you're paying for shipping, you probably actually are paying MSRP or really close to it. But you can still save a little change if you save up some money, make a bulk order, and get the free shipping that these different places. So it's not going to disappear from online. The sky is not falling. Asmodee has a reputation for making amazing board games. Fantasy Flight has a reputation for making amazing board games and even more amazing components. Days of Wonder has the same reputation for making very good quality games, and now they have the rights to do Catan throughout North America. I think that's the world as long as it's English speaking. So yeah, the sky's not falling, and the average Joe ain't gonna see a damn bit of difference, really. So, except maybe whose logo's on the box. And even then, I don't think you're going to see the Fantasy Flight logo disappear. I think you will see the Asmodee logo start appearing next to it.
Well, that's fine.
But I don't think, because Fantasy Flight is a brand now.
Yeah.
So is Days of Wonder to a lesser extent. They don't have quite the large...
I mean, they've got a nice little chunk into the Star Wars franchise here. With Imperial Assault and X-Wing and Armada.
But between LCGs, between...
I forgot about the card games too, yeah.
Between X-Wing and Armada, between Descent, and any number of other just traditional board games, Fantasy Flight has turned itself into a brand. Days of Wonder less so, because I think Small World and Ticket to Ride are bigger names than Days of Wonder on its own. But... yeah, I don't think you're going to see those names disappear. I think you're just going to start seeing the Asmodee logo showing up on the same box.
Cool deal.
So there you go. That's
short rant aside.
Yeah, it's not even really a rant. It's just there you go, folks. For those people who listen to us as a source of news and information. So Joseph, what have you been up to since the last time we spoke? Because the last time you were here would have been our Pandemic Legacy playthrough, in which episode 1 has gone up. Playthrough 1 went up already. By the time this airs, playthrough 2 should also be up. And I will say,
you'll actually hear me contributing a little bit more.
Yeah. Which I do want to say this, folks, for those out there who are listening, we hope there are many of you. In very short order, the number 1 episode, as of the day we are recording this, and we are recording this as we draw back the curtain a little bit, it is January 13th. As of today, the Pandemic Legacy episode, which has not been up very long, is the number 1 video on the ECS network. So obviously, there's something there you like, and we'll probably be doing more of them. But Joe?
Well, on the note of probably doing more of them, in honor of Coop's birthday, yes. I finally ordered my copy of Risk Legacy. It will be here eventually.
I was going to tell you, I saw 3 copies of it at Boardwalk in Greenville last week. So...
it's not, terribly hard to find. It was more of, I had to wait for a paycheck to clear it, because,
Sure, absolutely.
Paychecks, they're a thing. Aside from that, I work a lot.
Yeah.
I don't really get around to doing much in the way of the gaming and all that, because I'm at work, and the hours I work are kind of inconvenient for doing much in the way of non-necessities. But that's why I'm here, to have fun.
And to do some gaming.
Yes, and get some voice recording done, because, hey, why not? I'm here.
There you go. So, we're going to sit down here in a minute. As far as myself, I'll save what gaming stuff I've been up to for next episode since our last recording, because we're going to get down and get some playing done. We've got Boss Monster sitting in front of us. Basic gist of the game is that we are all the bosses of an 8-bit dungeon, and we are trying to kill the adventurers that come hunting for our gold and our treasures and our hide. So when we come back, we'll see what we think of it. Just to let everybody know, we are using simply the base game. It's all I own at the moment, but we're just what you get in the base box. Cool little short filler card game. And when we come back, we will have some opinions on Boss Monster. So stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Hello, wrestling fans. Greg Hunter here, one half of the best damn announce team, period, along with John the Body Johnson, encouraging you to join us right here exclusively on the ECS network for the Announcers Booth. Between us, we have over 30 years' experience in the world of professional wrestling, and we use that to bring you the insights in the squared circle right here, past, present, and future on the ECS network. So join myself and John the Body Johnson for the Announcers Booth, only on the ECS network. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rage Quit Radio. A wild Coop has appeared.
Da-da-da.
So, Coop has informed us that he is not yet drunk.
It's a work in progress.
Solutions will be found.
Yes.
It's not my fault I had to, do work today before noon. So I have to delay when I go and get started.
Well, we just got done playing a couple of games of Boss Monster, the dungeon building card game from the folks at Brotherwise. Very light, entertaining little game. Apparently this is the 4th edition of this game. Wow, okay. Runs one of the very few board or card games I've ever seen where they actually have the MSRP printed on the box. $24.95 for the little Nintendo-looking box. What's everybody's sort of first impressions of Boss Monster, the dungeon building card game? We'll start with the guy that rickrolled everyone the first game, which is why we played more than one. So, other than the fact that it's just that quick.
It's fairly well balanced. There are ways to break it wide open. We found that first game completely by accident because I've never played this game before and wasn't like trying to aim for a broken combo or anything. It's got a very high dickery potential.
Oh yeah, it's a take that game.
Oh yeah.
But it's very fun, and I think it's all comical in the long run.
Yeah, which is sort of the point. Coop, birthday boy, what do we think?
It is a much more fun version of Munchkin because it actually has rules and timing.
Thank you.
So it doesn't go and just devolve into fuck you, no fuck you. It's actually, is there a way for me to go and screw you over this turn? Perhaps. Again, like, screwing over the other players is a part of the game.
Yes.
But it's not like in Munchkin and other games where everyone has a million cards with which to screw each other person over. You literally have to go and invest time and cards to get cards that may be able to screw someone over.
And
so
usually that means you're holding spell cards and people see it a mile away.
Which means that you may go and screw any, one person over between like 1 and 3 times a game, not 16 times in a single turn, like in Munchkin.
Yeah.
And we saw the whole timing rules out with the end of the second game.
Yep.
Yes.
Because with the way things resolved by room, I kept Mike from winning. In fact, let the heroes kill Mike.
Yep.
And Trevor ran away with it afterward because I only had enough ammo.
Kingmaker!
Kingmaker, Kingbreaker.
So, Ryan.
Yeah, I liked it. For a little card game, I mean, when you look at the box, you're not really 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a little deceiving, but, I'm kind of glad. This is a game that I would actually go and get.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, this looks a lot like, kind of the Pixel Tactics, the 8-bit look and feel type card games and board games that are out there.
Oh, yeah.
My first impression of it, I've wanted to have a little quick take that game in my collection for a little while, and I despise Munchkin with every fiber of my being.
Agreed.
So when I did a little research into this one, I figured this one might be the one to get. My wife disagrees. My wife prefers Walk the Plank, which I'm sure we will do in a future episode. But no, I enjoy it a lot. There's the first time I played this was 2 players, and I think it's terrible at 2 players.
Agreed, because all of your screw someone over cards go in one direction.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure it makes it very random when the monsters flip up that possibly just a huge swath of, monsters at a timely time just go and wash over through someone's dungeon and they just go and win in a, moment.
Right.
Says the guy who won with the Zerglin Rush of Epic Fighters.
But he actually had to do stuff to make that work.
Yeah, I mean, he had to basically screw up my last card to keep me from actually winning
I
that first
had
round.
to go and screw Ryan over because I had no guarantee that I was not going to get screwed over. So I was trying to go and make sure that even if I died, Ryan was going to get screwed.
That's right. Bravo.
And if you had died, I could have actually won that one.
Yep.
But that was
because Mike would have died, I would have died, which means that then it would have come down to the next turn where one of you two would have gotten, all the monsters of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Yes. Or simply had a spell to really finish the diggering.
I will say this: when I look at this game, aesthetically, I really, really dig it. I like the 8-bit look. I love the fact that the box looks like an old Nintendo cover, because I grew up with these. So I love that. I even love the fact that the instruction booklet is put together in the same shape and style as the old 8-bit Nintendo instruction manuals.
Where's the Sega logo?
Which means it's actually relatively easy to read.
Yes, it's relatively easy to read, and there will be shit missing at some point. I haven't read it through all the way, but if it's like the old 8-bit Nintendo thing, something in here that's essential is not in here.
Or just wrong.
Yeah, but no, seriously.
Or horribly misspelled.
The book is pretty well put together.
Or all three.
As far as the instruction manual is concerned, the only thing perhaps that I don't like in the instruction manual, and I'm going to see if it was just something that I was stupid and overlooked. Okay, it was something I was a little stupid and overlooked. It's not readily apparent if you're looking through it and you never played it before how advanced rooms work, because I wish they had called out it's part of the room page, but I wish they had called it out with a little boldface text, because they use that for other crap in here. But that's a little niggling piece of BS. There's some very simple symbology. The game is designed to scale, because you will play with fewer heroes depending on how many players there are.
Okay, I was going to go and ask if there were, rules in there for if you were playing with 2 players, how are half the heroes taken out?
Well, one, you flip fewer heroes. You flip as many heroes as there are players. The second thing is there's an icon at the bottom of the card that tells you how many players there have to be for you to be able to use that hero in the deck. Give a brief overview of the way the game plays, because it's incredibly simple. You set up, everybody gets 5 room cards, everybody gets 2 spell cards. You're going to discard 2 cards of your choice among those. You will, by this point, also have been given a random boss. According to just the quick start rules, you just get a boss card at random. Apparently, one of the variants we were playing and didn't even realize it is the I Choose You variant. So apparently there's a Pokemon variation of this. You're dealt 2 boss cards and you pick one. I love this because I'm actually looking back here at the variants now, and there's various ones in here. For instance, there's hard mode. You remove all ordinary heroes with health of value 4 or less. So you can play it on hard mode.
You would get to the epic heroes real quick.
Yes,
fast.
you would.
And that's assuming you live that long.
Yeah.
Yes. There's
going to be a lot of wounds early.
There's machinations at the end of the turn. If the player did not gain a soul this turn, he may draw 1 card from the room or spell deck. That might actually help the game move along a little bit better.
That would be a good catch-up mechanic per se.
It is, but it also, if you play for the long term, you're going to amass a lot of potential dick.
I mean, there's lots of ways to go and amass a lot of cards anyway. So,
and then of course there's the unlimited lives code, where you basically just go until all the heroes are dead. So,
cute.
But once you've set up the game, you've got your hero, or you got your boss, because you are the boss monster at the end of an 8-bit video game. So once you have your boss, once you have gotten your cards, you will go ahead and build 1 room. And the only thing about the game that is perhaps counterintuitive is when you build your dungeon, your boss is on the extreme right, and then you build to the left of him. We're so used to everything going left to right, so that's why I say that might be the only counterintuitive point. But it's because,
perfectly in theme.
Oh yeah, because the side-scrolling video game goes left to right, and you have to be the very last thing if you're the boss. After that, at the beginning of each turn, an initiative is determined by how much XP your boss is worth. It's the only reason that stat is on the card. But then we reveal heroes equal to the number of players, so 2, 3, or 4. Then each player draws a room card. There are room cards, there are spell cards. Rooms add to your dungeon, spells let you dick people over, or make your dungeon better. So then,
or counter the dickery entirely.
Which means you're still being a dick, because you're dicking the dickery. But anyway.
Dick.
Yes. Lots of
exception. Okay, move on.
So then,
There are no tentacle monsters in this game in this edition, thankfully.
Yes. So then,
what are Metroids?
Fair. So now,
Gotcha.
Moving on. Then you enter the build phase of the game, where you will place a room face down into your dungeon. Sometimes getting to upgrade rooms through the advanced room mechanic, sometimes just adding to your dungeon.
Sometimes just replacing rooms because you want to go for a different hero type.
Absolutely. And then,
or different effects. Then
once you've built everything, you move on to the bait phase, where heroes move to the dungeon with the most relevant treasure icons. So they're like any good old school RPG. You have fighters, mages, thieves, and clerics. And icons appear on your rooms and on your boss to let you know what kind of treasure is in that room, so that's what attracts that type of hero. If you get a tie, then that hero stays in town, because he's just going to wait. Then you get to the adventure phase, where the heroes walk through your dungeon like the old side-scrolling video game, and hopefully die before they ever get to you. If they get to you, because the boss themselves, the end of the video game is always a putz, in the old 8-bit era, if they get to you, you get hurt.
Your ass is grass.
Yes. Yeah. It's all the shit before they get to you that's supposed to kill them. So, hopefully it does. The first game we played, I thought, was not indicative of the game. Because it was just... It's any card games. There's a lot of luck involved. And the card just flopped that way. Yeah. But the second game, I think, was indicative of how much fun this game is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And one thing I will call out quickly that I love. There's a quick start sheet in this, and this is pretty much everything you need to know to play the game. It's on one sheet of paper that's about the size of the box. So you can leave the instruction book be and only pull it out if you need some kind of clarification. But no, I really enjoyed it. I like the take that mechanisms. I like the component quality. I like the artwork. The cards are actually very well put together. Everything is, the symbology is simple. And then I would say beyond that, I like the theme, because I like old 8-bit video games. So, playing the game itself, the second game, there was a lot of joking, cutting up, and having fun.
Yeah.
And a lot more moving parts.
Because we actually, saw how we were really supposed to go and interact with each other by going and building rooms for the express purpose of just making sure all the heroes didn't go in one direction. Mm-hmm. Because the first time we played, we basically went and let two entire types of monsters just all go Joe's way, and it was just blowout. We didn't even get to the advanced monsters.
To be fair, I had one of those two types was just because of the first round. Mages I built toward, and then I was playing the seductress boss,
and you went and got some good traps and rooms that went and expressly went and pulled them towards.
Yeah,
towards
we had
so
the last round of that, the last game round or game turn of that
first game session. Yeah,
thank you. Of that session, the flop was 3 mages and one of each other type, I think. And I leveled up that round, so I got to pull one hero that I wanted out of the town. They were going into my dungeon. That was the seductress thing.
And it was one of the ones that you wouldn't normally have attracted anyway.
Right. I had a room, mimic trap, I think it was called, that let me do the same thing. Pick an ordinary hero. Yeah. There was a keyword on that one. In town, they come to my dungeon, and then I had the Save the Princess spell that I picked the hero. They came to my dungeon. So I picked all the non-mages to come to my dungeon, and the mages I had a vast lead on, and they came to my dungeon.
Yeah.
So I rickrolled in one round and got 6 points.
So for the first game, we didn't even get to the advanced heroes, and the advanced heroes, they're advanced. I mean, because when you go and build out your 5 rooms, it is actually kind of unlikely that you are going to have 11 to 13 power. Yeah. You have to have advanced rooms and synergy between your rooms in order to go and hit the 11 to 13 marks.
Yeah. Which is what I looked on when I picked up those cards.
Yeah.
And then had that one additional spell that came in on the spell turn.
Yeah. So, I mean, you do have to pay attention. There is strategy to it. It's not a real thinky, brain-burny game in that regard, but there's just enough to keep you occupied and thinking.
Yeah, you have to go and keep track, vaguely keep track of how many of each icon the other players have, but oddly, once you go and get up to the 5 rooms, the icons actually change kind of slowly because people typically don't want to go and replace the things that they're actually pulling heroes towards them, because you have to go and get those souls. So it's sometimes really hard to go and try to stop someone else while at the same time still pulling heroes towards you.
And that's actually one of the interesting things that I saw from most of the rooms we saw in play. Mm-hmm. There is a reason to keep non-advanced rooms. It's more common for the non-advanced rooms to have multiple treasure icons, whether it be doubles of the same type, which is how you stopped Ryan from getting all the clerics for a while, because they kept in town with 2 double cleric icon cards. Or they have one of multiple types. Ryan was playing a lot that had 1 cleric and 1 other.
Yeah, I actually pulled the one that had 1 of everything.
Yeah. And it influences the game that way, because then you're playing the bait game, and there's a reason to keep those cards around rather than upgrade every card.
But oftentimes those advanced bait cards are actually not that effective at actually killing the monsters per se.
This is also true. It's a balancing act.
Because the high bait cards rooms typically have pretty bad combat values.
Yeah, 1s, 0s.
Yeah, 1s and 0s. Whereas all of the single icon rooms
tend to be stronger.
I believe all of them, with the save of like the Minotaur room, have 2 or some interaction with another room to go and have more than the printed value on the card.
Yeah, one of the more popular ones of those was the Dizzy Gas Trap, because that boosted the next trap.
That was running 2 on that last game.
So that was a card that effectively had 4 when it's in position, but Coop changed positions.
Yes,
and that was one of those.
Because one of the other rooms goes and lets you rearrange the rooms in someone else's dungeon, and because the placement of the rooms in the dungeon actually matters, I was able to go and make one of his trap rooms, basically garbage, which was important because he had some, big clerics come down the pipe that he would have killed if I had not screwed up his dungeon.
I would also, and I just looked through the deck, there is no advanced room in the deck that has multiple icons. None.
They all have a single
icon?
icon?
Single icons. So, but I also think they're all at least 2s or 3s for how much damage they deal.
Or
2
or more.
plus utility, or
That
well, actually
or
even
4.
3 with the utility. 4 is probably the only flat damage one.
That goes back to the Dracolich room that I had in the first game I never got to play. But you pulled that card out, didn't you? You actually pulled that card.
Oh no, that's not the one I pulled with my level up. I pulled the Vampire Bordello because I had taken early wounds.
Okay.
And I wanted to heal them. And I found out I also turned them into souls, which was kind of cool.
So, all in all, I think it's a really fun little game. Really quick filler. Going to be kind of like how this episode's going to run. So,
$25 you said?
Yeah, it's $25 for the box.
It is pretty high quality, so...
Yeah, it's high quality, so I guess explains the price.
Yeah.
If I didn't play it beforehand, I'd probably bulk at the price. But having played it...
Okay, let me ask this. How much is Munchkin?
Anybody
off the top of their head?
About
the
19,
game that would buy only to Torch?
Yeah, but still.
Depending on where you go.
Because this is the niche
let's ask the internet.
Yeah, I was looking for my phone, but it's too far away. Coop has his on his person. So, no, I mean, it's a case of, to me, that is the niche that this game fills. I don't think, unless you just really, really, really like take-that card games, you're either going to play this or Munchkin. I'm not going to have both.
Flux.
I hate Flux.
You're talking about the niche.
Yeah.
If we're going to bring up Munchkin, which most of the people here hate, you might as well bring up Flux too.
Sure, but
that's kind of in that same vein.
Yeah, but I think
a quick portable take that.
On Amazon.
Sort of. But with this is something. This plays in 30 minutes or less, which is about right.
On sale, it's $20 for the base and $20 per expansion.
For Munchkin.
Yep.
But that's on sale. So we can assume MSRP is probably
25 to 30.
Okay. So yeah. So comparably priced. I think it's worth it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, my point was if I hadn't played it, I'd probably look at the price and go, wait a minute. But I'm that way with a lot of those style of games.
I think
the pick up and go portable fun types.
I think the game is really deceptive if you look at the box. Because I hate to say it, but it gets the theme across very well. But I learned very little just looking at the box about what the hell I'm going to be doing. So if you're kind of looking for that, and you know, Munchkin has the benefit of the packaging being a little more evocative, I guess, and you know, you getting a much better idea of exactly what you're doing. But then
it's very hard not to know what Munchkin is at all these days.
Of course, if you buy this, you get the benefit of actually buying a game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can look at it like this. I mean, you know, technically, we're kind of debating about the box, the way it looks, and the price of it. Once you get into it, I think we've all agreed you've got your money's in a heartbeat. You got your money's worth in a heartbeat.
This is one of those games that benefits massively from either demonstration at a store or at a convention compared to other games. And you'll get people who will buy it on the spot.
Does not take a long time to play and does not take a long time to teach. Again, you don't get a ton of cards being flung all around the table like you do with Munchkin. Realistically, you're only going to go and you draw probably like between 5 and 10 cards throughout the game, because the game will go and just end before then. So there's actually a lot of it is luck. But you can go and play, have good amounts of interaction, and be finished with the game in 15 to 20 minutes.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a 30-minute or less filler game.
Yep. So. And how many expansions do they have out that you know of?
They have 2 that I'm aware of. They have sort of an items mini expansion, which I don't know if that adds a new mechanic or not, but I get the vibe that it does. Really cute, too, because the box for it looks like a Game Boy box. Like the old classic Game Boy cartridge. Yeah. And then they do have a Boss Monster 2, which the regular version comes in a box, almost the exact same design as the regular box with different artwork, of course, but it's the gray background instead of the black, so kind of like the second generation of old school 8-bit Nintendo games. Unless you get the special edition where they have the guy here, King Croak, posed like Mario, and it apes the Super Mario Brothers 2 cover. So I will not be getting that one because I hated Super Mario Brothers 2's artwork. But anyway, final thoughts. Is this one you would buy? Is this one that you would teach to people? What do you think?
This is the game that I would go and take with a bottle of vodka to play while the game's smashed.
Really?
Bravo.
Yeah, because it's simple enough to play while drinking. You don't have to go and be super intense. It's like you really have to just look at little colored symbols and match those with the little colored symbols of the dudes in the middle, and then you have to count, which could be a challenge. But I tend to count while drinking very well. So.
Okay, fair enough. So are you saying you need to borrow this for later tonight?
Possibly.
Okay. Ryan, final thoughts on Boss Monsters?
Final thoughts, yeah, it's a definite pickup for a collection. It's a definite pickup for, like you said, like a filler, just to break a little time. If you got friends that are coming and they can't make it, that works well. In general, you could actually demo that game if you got like places where you're trying to get games up. That's a great way to break it in.
I think it's a great intro to card games. I like it a good deal. Obviously, I bought it. I will be getting the expansions. Like I said, the first time I played it with 2 players. Hated it. 4 players, I like it a lot. I'm not sure I would like 3 players because any take that game where you get to 3 players, somebody's eventually going to get picked on. Yeah. Which can still happen in a 4-player version.
Yeah. We saw how the start of the second game session went.
Well, that was because he went and blew out the first game.
Yeah. So there's a difference there. But anyway.
I didn't even have to do all the things I did to win that game. I just did it because I could.
So you're basically saying it's better with even than it would be with odds.
Yeah, I think it's best with 4 players, me personally. What do you think, Joe? Final thoughts.
I think this fills one of the 2 different niches of portability for games. It's not just the niche of the short run, quick setup, quick done game. It also fills the niche of what I find in portability, because this is a game I would buy and bring to a convention.
Okay.
And carry with me all the time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've been talking about the design of the box emulating the old NES cartridges. It's also not much larger than a paperback book.
I would actually say that is about the size of the old clamshell VHS cases. For those of you out there who can remember that.
I will agree with that. Which means it's very light. It's something you can pull around. It's not the pocket-sized game, but it's something you can keep around for any long line waits, definitely.
Yeah.
So, it's fun. Yes, I'd buy it when I had money. We don't. Oh, that's right. You were here for the earlier segment. Risk Legacy
Yes!
is on its way.
Woo!
Don't know when that's going to get played yet, but
That's
Well,
fine.
look for that on future playthroughs on RQR.
Special editions, yes.
Yep, on our special presentations. Which right now the plan is those will be every other Friday on the ECS network. So by the time this goes to air, at least 2 episodes of Pandemic Legacy will be up. So folks, I think we unanimously agree. We all like Boss Monster.
Yeah.
Which is actually shocking because we all actually kind of like different games to an extent.
So,
And in one way, we united in hate of a different game in this niche.
yes.
Yeah.
We all love Boss Monster because we all hate Munchkin. And on that bombshell...
Never played it. Don't know.
Well, you won't play it here.
You lucky bastard.
I'm Mike.
You're Wandering Running Joe.
This is Ryan.
Travis.
And we'll see you next time on Rage Quit Radio.